Welcome to Literary Journeys with River. Today we dive into The Titan's Curse, the third book in the Percy Jackson and the Olympian saga, where loyalty is tested, stars become memorials, and the weight of prophecy falls upon a hero's shoulders. Remember, this is only a summary, not the full book. If you enjoy exploring these mythical worlds, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon. Also, leave a comment telling us where you're watching from. It really helps the channel grow. Let's get started. Chapter 1. Percy, Annabeth, and Thalia travel with Percy's mother to Westover Hall to help Grover rescue two demigods, Bianca and Nico D'Angelo. The boarding school's dark and ominous atmosphere puts them on high alert, and they soon sense a hostile presence. They are intercepted by the vice principal, Dr. Thorne, who seems suspicious. Using the mist, Thalia tricks the teachers into letting them enter, and they reunite with Grover at a school dance in the gymnasium. There, they identify the D'Angelo siblings but also realize that Dr. Thorne is a monster watching them. When they try to approach the children, Thorne reacts and captures them, dragging them outside. Separated from his friends, Percy decides to act alone and follows the monster, unaware that he is walking into a deadly trap. Chapter 2. Percy is taken into the woods along with the D'Angelo siblings by Dr. Thorne, who reveals that he needs them alive to deliver them to his mysterious master, the General. Percy tries to alert Grover through their empathy link, but the monster continues toward a cliffside, where a helicopter awaits. Just as Thorne is about to strike, Annabeth uses her invisibility cap to intervene, giving Thalia and Grover time to enter the scene. Thalia fights the monster using her spear and Aegis shield, while Grover plays his reed pipes to ensnare him with magical roots. However, Thorne transforms into a manticore and shoots venomous spikes from his tail. Just as the battle seems lost, a hunting horn echoes through the forest. A group of young hunters appears, shooting silver arrows that wound Thorne. But before being defeated, the monster hurls himself off the cliff, taking Annabeth with him. Chapter 3. Following Annabeth's disappearance, the Hunters of Artemis, led by Zoe Nightshade, reveal their identity. Artemis, appearing as a 12-year-old girl, explains that the manticore has not been completely destroyed and that Annabeth vanished due to powerful magic. Bianca and Nico D'Angelo discover they are demigods, leaving them stunned. While Percy tries to convince them to come to Camp Half-Blood, Zoe offers Bianca the chance to join the Hunters and gain immortality. Artemis departs to track a legendary monster threatening Olympus, leaving Zoe in charge. Tempted by the promise of a life free of responsibilities, Bianca chooses to join the Hunters, abandoning Nico. Percy is shocked and feels like he has failed to protect the siblings. Artemis orders Apollo to transport them to camp, and he agrees, transforming his car into a bus to take them all. Chapter 4. Apollo, appearing as a carefree and charismatic teenager, arrives in his sun chariot, which he transforms into a school bus to take them to Long Island. He insists that Thalia drive. As a daughter of Zeus, she is meant to master the skies. Nervous but eager to prove herself, Thalia takes the wheel. Initially, she handles it well, but soon she loses control. She ascends too high, then plummets, causing a drastic temperature rise that melts snow and sparks fires in a New England town. Finally, with Apollo shouting desperate instructions, Thalia crashes the bus into the lake at Camp Half-Blood, creating an explosion of steam and chaos. Despite the rough landing, Apollo sarcastically congratulates her and checks for any damage they may have caused. Percy, still worried about Annabeth and the situation with Bianca, realizes their journey is just beginning. Chapter 5. Percy arrives at Camp Half-Blood with Thalia, Nico, and the Hunters of Artemis. He is surprised to see the camp in winter, covered in snow and magical lights. Zoe remains distant from Chiron and decides to lodge the Hunters in Artemis's cabin. During a meeting with Chiron and Mr. D, Percy informs them about Annabeth's disappearance, but Dionysus dismisses the idea of rescuing her. Enraged, Percy argues with him, but Nico interrupts, excitedly discovering Chiron and Dionysus's true identities. Later, Thalia opens up about her past, revealing that her mother died in an accident, which explains her fear of driving. Percy retreats to his cabin, where he finds a fountain with a spout of seawater, a gift from Poseidon. Using it, he contacts Tyson, who warns him about a war brewing in the ocean and the magical defenses of the Princess Andromeda. Before the connection is lost, Tyson mentions that Annabeth may still be alive. Chapter 6. Percy tells Grover about his nightmare of Annabeth trapped beneath a collapsed ceiling. Grover mentions that Zoe also had a troubling dream and tried speaking with Chiron at dawn. Zoe believes Artemis has vanished and wants to leave immediately, but Chiron stops her. Percy finds a pamphlet about the Hunters in Annabeth's backpack, suggesting she was considering joining them. Throughout the day, Percy struggles to distract himself, growing increasingly frustrated. At the big house, he searches for answers in the Oracle's attic but gets no response. While examining stored artifacts, he finds a scarf from Aphrodite that Annabeth had kept, leaving him confused. That night, the campers and the hunters compete in a capture-the-flag match. Percy finds the enemy flag, but Zoe snatches his, securing victory for her team. Furious, Thalia argues with him, and their conflict escalates until the Oracle mysteriously appears and announces a prophecy. Chapter 7. After the Oracle's sudden appearance, Percy and Grover return it to the big house. Percy feels left out as Zoe and Thalia argue over the prophecy's meaning. Dionysus, as indifferent as ever, shows no interest in the quest. Zoe insists that only the hunters should go, but Thalia demands that the campers be included. The final group consists of Zoe, Bianca, Phoebe, Thalia, and Grover. Percy tries to join, but Zoe rejects him for being a boy. Hurt, he retreats to his cabin, where Chiron advises him to return home. Percy contacts his mother through an iris message, and she tells him to trust his instincts. That night, he dreams of Annabeth and Artemis as prisoners, and of Luke interacting with a sinister figure called the General. He wakes up with a sense of urgency and is unexpectedly visited by Blackjack, his Pegasus friend. Chapter 8. Blackjack carries Percy over the ocean, where Hippocampi asks for help freeing a strange creature trapped in a net, a hybrid of a cow and a sea serpent. Percy rescues it and names it Bessie, unaware of its critical importance. Upon returning to camp, he sees Nico spying on Bianca and Zoe as they discuss Phoebe, who has been incapacitated by a prank from the Stoll brothers. Zoe decides not to replace her, reducing the group to 4 members. Nico begs Percy to watch over his sister, and Percy, determined not to be left behind, turns invisible and secretly follows the hunters. Just as the group departs in a van, Blackjack appears and offers to fly Percy after them, allowing him to continue the quest undetected. Chapter 9. Percy follows the hunter's van from the sky atop Blackjack, enduring the freezing winter winds. To his surprise, Zoe is the one driving toward Washington. However, his journey is interrupted by Dionysus, who traps him with vines on the Chrysler Building's rooftop. The god reprimands Percy for disobedience and warns him about heroes' fates, reminding him of Theseus's betrayal of Ariadne. Percy insists on continuing the quest, but Dionysus dismisses him, convinced the demigod is marching toward doom. Percy resumes his pursuit and follows his friends to Washington, where their van stops near the Air and Space Museum. But his attention shifts when he spots Dr. Thorne, who is very much alive, meeting with Luke and a fearsome leader known as the General to plot their next move. Chapter 10. Percy sneaks into the Air and Space Museum to warn Thalia, Zoe, Bianca, and Grover about Luke and the General's looming threat. Before they can act, the Nemean lion appears, a beast with impenetrable fur. They attempt to defeat it with arrows and direct attacks, but the monster is invulnerable. Percy devises a desperate plan, using astronaut food from the museum to lure it into opening its mouth, allowing Zoe to shoot inside. With incredible precision, she lands several arrows in its throat, killing the creature. The lion dissolves, leaving behind its pelt, a trophy Percy reluctantly accepts. However, there's no time to celebrate, as skeletal warriors are closing in. With the museum in chaos and security mobilizing, the group escapes, facing a crucial decision. Percy is now officially part of the quest. Chapter 11. The group flees Washington in the van, but a black helicopter starts following them. Zoe executes evasive maneuvers, managing to lose their pursuers by hiding in the subway, where Bianca recalls vague childhood memories of Washington, revealing her unusual perception of time. After escaping, they reach an abandoned train station, where a mysterious homeless man directs them to a freight train heading west. Boarding a car filled with luxury vehicles, each of them picks a car to rest in. During the ride, Percy and Thalia talk, and she admits that she almost joined the Hunters but stayed with Luke instead. Later, Apollo appears disguised as a drifter and advises Percy to seek Nereus in San Francisco to uncover the mystery of the monster. Before leaving, the god speeds up the train, carrying them miles ahead as Percy dreams about Zoe's past. Chapter 12. The train leaves them in Cloudcroft, a snowy town with no available transportation. As they search for a way out, Grover senses a magical presence and collapses. Before they can react, skeletal warriors surround them, forcing them into battle. Percy discovers that his Nemean lion pelt protects him from bullets, but the enemies quickly regroup. Just as the situation seems hopeless, a giant wild boar charges in, sending the skeletons flying. Grover recognizes it as the Erymanthian boar, a gift from the god Pan. Though the beast also attacks them, Grover uses his reed pipes to lure it with a floating apple. Thalia and Percy work together to distract it, leading it into a snowdrift. Grover insists the creature is their means of transportation west. Zoe, astonished, senses Pan's presence in the wind, the legendary god of the wild. Chapter 13. The group rides the Erymanthian boar across the Arizona desert before releasing it and discovering a vast scrapyard in Gila Claw. They decide to camp before crossing it, and under the stars, Zoe and Bianca discuss how pollution has erased constellations. Bianca shares fragmented childhood memories, leading the group to suspect that she and Nico were trapped in the Lotus Casino, unknowingly losing decades. Before dawn, Ares appears with Aphrodite, who tries to convince Percy that his true mission is to save Annabeth rather than Artemis. Before leaving, the goddess warns him not to take anything from Hephaestus's junkyard. At sunrise, they navigate the scrapyard, but an accident awakens Talos, a massive bronze automaton. To stop it, Bianca enters its interior, disrupting its controls, but vanishes in the destruction of the giant. Chapter 14. After losing Bianca, the group continues their journey in a battered tow truck, arriving at the Hoover Dam. Percy, uneasy, spots Bessie in the lake and senses that it is trying to warn him of danger. At that moment, the skeletal warriors catch up to them, forcing Percy to flee into the dam's museum, where he meets Rachel Elizabeth Dare, a mortal who can see through the mist. With her help, he evades the skeletons and reunites with his friends in the cafeteria. Just as the enemies surround them, Grover throws his food, triggering a full-scale burrito fight between tourists and skeletons. Cornered against the rock face, Percy convinces Thalia to pray to her father, Zeus. When all seems lost, the dam's bronze statues come to life, rescuing them and flying them into the sky while the skeleton warriors are left behind. Chapter 15. Percy, Thalia, Zoe, and Grover soar across the country on the living statues, landing in San Francisco. Percy tells Thalia about Rachel Elizabeth Dare, the mortal who saw through the mist, and recalls that his mother has the same ability. Upon landing, they learn they must find Nereus, the old man of the sea, to obtain crucial information. Zoe leads Percy to a group of homeless people, where he identifies Nereus by his strong oceanic scent. In a struggle, Percy hurls him into the water and, using his connection to the sea, holds him until the old man surrenders. Nereus reveals that the monster capable of destroying the gods is nearby, the Ophiutorus, which turns out to be Bessie, the cow serpent. As they process this revelation, Dr. Thorne appears with a group of mercenaries, cornering them and hinting that Thalia has a crucial role in Olympus's downfall. Chapter 16. Percy and his friends flee from Dr. Thorne and his group but soon find themselves cornered. Just as all seems lost, Dionysus intervenes, driving the mercenaries insane and trapping the manticore in a tangle of vines. Before leaving, the god warns them that they have only a few hours to complete their mission. Grover volunteers to guide Bessie to Long Island while Percy prays to Poseidon for protection on their journey. Seeking help in San Francisco, they visit Annabeth's father, Dr. Chase, who surprises Percy with his kindness. He lends them his car to reach Mount Tamalpais, home to the Garden of the Hesperides. On the way, Percy spots the Princess Andromeda anchored offshore, confirming Luke's army is nearby. Before they arrive, a lightning strike destroys the car, barely allowing them to escape, convincing Thalia that something or someone is trying to manipulate her. Chapter 17. At the summit of Mount Tamalpais, they find Artemis bearing the weight of the sky. Waiting for them are Atlas, Luke, and the captive Annabeth. Atlas is revealed to be Zoe's father, and despite Artemis's warning, Zoe challenges him. Luke attempts to convince Thalia to sacrifice Bessie and overthrow Olympus, but she refuses and begins fighting him. Percy attacks Atlas but is quickly overpowered and trapped. With no other choice, Artemis frees Percy, and he takes the sky's burden, enduring unbearable pain. As Artemis battles, Zoe is gravely wounded. With the goddess's help, Percy tricks Atlas into reclaiming the sky's weight. Thalia defeats Luke, who falls off a cliff. Just as the enemy army attacks, Dr. Chase arrives in a biplane, distracting them long enough for Artemis to rescue the heroes in her celestial chariot. Chapter 18. After the battle, the group lands in Crissy Field, where Annabeth reunites with her father. Zoe, mortally wounded, is beyond saving despite Artemis's efforts. Before dying, she bids farewell to Thalia, regretting they were not closer, and entrusts her sword to Percy, acknowledging his bravery. To honor her, Artemis transforms Zoe into a constellation so she may shine eternally in the sky. With the threat still looming, the goddess departs for Olympus, leaving the demigods with a clear mission. Blackjack and other Pegasi arrive to transport them, and Annabeth says goodbye to her father, who reassures her she will always have a home. As they fly toward New York, Annabeth and Percy discuss Luke. She remains convinced he is still alive. As they near the Empire State Building, Thalia points to the glowing Olympus, announcing the gods' assembly has begun. Chapter 19. The demigods arrive at Olympus, awestruck by its grandeur. In the throne room, the gods debate Percy's fate and what to do with the Ophiutorus, whose sacrifice could bring the downfall of Olympus. Percy pleads for its life, arguing that they must not repeat Kronos' mistakes. Artemis intervenes and appoints a new lieutenant. To everyone's surprise, Thalia accepts the role, renouncing her mortality to avoid fulfilling the prophecy. Zeus expresses concern, but she insists it is the best choice. The assembly ultimately spares Percy and places the Ophiutorus under Poseidon's protection. With tensions resolved, the gods celebrate with a grand feast. During the banquet, Poseidon warns Percy that Luke is still alive and regrouping. Athena also confronts Percy, warning him about his fatal flaw, his unwavering loyalty, which could lead to his downfall. Chapter 20. Before returning, Percy contacts his mother and Tyson, who promises to visit in the summer. Back at camp, Nico asks about Bianca, and Percy is forced to deliver the devastating news. Overcome with grief, the boy accuses Percy of breaking his promise and, in a fit of rage, unleashes a terrifying power that opens the ground, swallowing the skeletal warriors attacking them. Percy realizes the truth. Nico is a son of Hades. Horrified by his own abilities, Nico flees. Percy decides to keep his identity secret to protect him, fearing that if the gods find out, the prophecy may refer to Nico instead. As Annabeth departs for San Francisco to monitor the Titans, Percy resolves to prepare for the coming war. Suddenly, Grover bursts in with shocking news. Pan, the lost god of the wild, has spoken to him and is waiting, marking the beginning of a new quest. We've reached the end of the Titan's curse, a story where courage meets sacrifice and constellations are born from fallen heroes. Thank you for joining us on this mythological adventure. If you liked this video, subscribe, like, and share it with your friends. Now tell me in the comments, Which part struck you the most in this book? And are you ready for the next one, the Battle of the Labyrinth?